great. I only have 30 minutes, so I better be fast. It's a big topic. So in general, at Wordbee for quite a few years now, we believe in a transaction-based translation management approach. It's like whenever you deal with content, you're really only interested in the string and not in everything that comes with the string. Because whenever you deal with everything that comes with the string, whatever you send back, if you put it back to, if you parse it, if you put it back together where you are, then you will always then push the target design back as well, including all the changes. This goes for CMS systems, for pretty much everything that your text is embedded in, right? So a few years ago, we looked at, we have a lot of clients in the like large marketing firms, and we looked at like how are they dealing with publications, everything that is pretty, and how they're dealing with the localization of that. And it's just crazy. I myself worked in the field a little bit, so I could bring in my own knowledge, but the problem is that we are very much in a waterfall process, right? It's like we can't work in an agile way. Agile means everybody does something. Waterfall means like person A has to do something, finish it, pass it on to person B, pass it on to person C. They try to do agile, but if you do agile in an environment that is made for waterfall processes, then the only thing you're going to do is like create a big mess, and so it's very tricky and difficult to do multilingual publications that have changes and different requirements, different people for different countries, different the text has to be different, so it becomes all a bit of local, it's a bit of translation and then localization, but then with complicated review processes. So that's where we found, especially we said if it's time critical, you bring out a new product, you have your annual report, and then I don't know, finance notices that they made a calculation mistake, and but the printing date is tomorrow. And this happens all the time, especially everybody that was as an LSP involved in these processes will know. So basically, let's quickly look at a traditional process, right? So you create the source in design, right? And then you better wait until everything is finalized and reviewed before you start, because, and again, you would end up in a mess because you start translating something that is then later changed, and then you basically have to incorporate the changes and back and forth and everything, right? And once they're done, they send you an IDML for translation. Of course, we do that for a long time. I know there are plugins for other tools that do that, but the problem with that is it's an XML file that contains everything minus the images and the fonts and stuff, but everything, including the target design. So every time you push a new IDML with changes, all the changes you made to the target design are gone. Right, so you would have to do them again and keep track of them, and it's really very annoying. And so so your translation begins, you translate the IDML file, a typesetter does nothing. Also, all the other stakeholders do nothing because they have to wait for you. And then the typesetter receives the translated file, opens it up, and then this happens. You localize target in design, right? You get the translation back, nothing, not everything is going to fit. Then you start moving things around, and you're changing your images that you have to change and start localizing the file for your target market. Then that thing is sent to review. Then the customer makes changes either to your target or your source, right? And then you basically, the whole process starts again. You have to pass it on to the Chinese translator. They have then the Chinese reviewer has to do something, and and you have to keep track of all the changes, and nothing will ever end up in the translation memory, especially not. It's just not possible. It's just a huge mess, right? So the customer changes things, and then the changes are applied to the source design, and then Often it happens, and they then make the changes in the translation manually in InDesign, and don't even inform you about it, even though they're going to send you the next job and expect the same results that they have changed, right? But you never learned about them. And same for the target, then they apply changes. But if they would go through you again and do it via IDML, then the target layout changes would have to be applied every single time there is an update, because you basically override all the designs via via the old IDML file, right? And then you do that, and like I said, nothing ends up in the memory. So what's the problem, right? The current workflow can only deal with fixed positions. It's like I said, it's like if you change anything in the target design and you then apply the there's a source change and you do the same process again, all your changes will be gone, right? So it's monolithic, right? It's like it's basically we translate it once and then we fix anything, this whole fix it in post idea, where it's just like, this person scribbles on a PDF that he's printed out, and he then tries to get it passed around everybody, and then you deal with 7 languages. It's not possible. It's basically a translate once workflow and then sort of fix it, right? And it's it's not, that doesn't sound very efficient, and it's very, very error prone, because the people that do the typesetting don't necessarily speak Chinese or Russian or any of the other languages they are asked to basically typeset for, right? So what is the solution? The solution is the synchronization of layouts between different InDesign systems. It can be one InDesign computer that basically has the different files open, but you can also have, I don't know, you work for a German company and the source is German, but then they have an office in the US and an office in China, and they both have marketeers there and typesetters there, and they can open their InDesign and basically just pull the entire layout, pull the entire project straight from the Wordbee server, right? So they actually, with their InDesign, log into the your translation management system, or the translation management system, whoever runs it. Can be the LSP, can be the end client, doesn't matter. Yeah, and with language specific overrides, I'm going to run through this so that I can show you the software so you understand what I mean. We inject the text in existing structures, meaning like you make all the changes you want. You can change whatever you want, every single object in InDesign, meaning like can be a line, can be a picture, can be whatever it is independent, and we just inject the text back into the changes you made. So it's completely independent of all the structure of the document. Yeah, and you reduce manual labor a lot, and also you can easily deal with changes. So the CEO's wife decides that she doesn't like a specific sentence. Okay, cool. Change it, and the entire translation workflow and the entire workflow system is kicked off automatically, which I'm going to show very quickly. It's pretty much lights out. You set this up and then it's lights out. Everything basically is automated and works automatically. I would, because of time constraints, I would actually run through this a bit quickly to also, this is how it works. It's maybe not that interesting. It's a bit techy. We basically create a data stream out of your InDesign file. Any software inside, no matter what it is, InDesign or Word, it basically reads a file and then it serializes the information, basically tells itself what to do, right? So it's like if you open an InDesign file, it's not as if the software, like, boom, it's there. It's basically draw a line from here to there, then bend the line, then apply this color, and blah, 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 right? So it's a serialized data stream. So we serialize the stream, put it on our server, generate an HTML, extract the text from there, and then pump that into our translation management system and into our CAT tool. And we basically, but we don't always like put the entire data stream back. It's like if there's a change, we only deliver the change, right? Or push back the change. And then we generate the target from that, right? I'll show you how we do that. Is this important? Yeah, important is separate. The text and the layout is completely separate, has nothing to do with each other. Even the layout is completely separate and fully granular. Every single object is granular. I'll show you what that means. Yeah, and we can have multiple layouts for multiple languages with as many changes as you like, and the entire translation workflow, even if it's for 60 languages, is fully automated, and everybody will always get the work that they have to do. And we keep, automatic quoting and invoicing and keeping track of the costs and kicking off workflows automatically. That is, of course, all integrated, like basically, typical Wordbee automation, which is super powerful and super nice. So, good. Let's skip that so I can show you the software, I think, because that's much more interesting. So let's look at InDesign. I don't know who of you knows InDesign. I think a few, otherwise they hardly would be in the meeting, or maybe whatever. So this is a typical run-of-the-mill little company brochure, right? I created this. This is for Cyberdyne Systems, the makers of the Terminator. It's a very good company. AI is all the rage nowadays, so this very important company. And I've already created a German version of the document, right? So it's like, this is I set this as a target, right? I can log into Wordbee, right? And I see my projects here, and here I have my project here. So you can basically log into Wordbee straight from InDesign, right? You log in, you create your source file, and then there's an initial commit where you commit the source file to the project, right? I've already done that to save a little bit of time. This is how it looks like. This is the project, right? This is your typical Wordbee. We look at documents, and here we have our English. That's the source, Cyberdyne, right? This is this one, right? So if I go into the translation editor, we see all the text from the document, right? Already machine translated German, right? So we have German here. So if we were to, let's quickly go back, right? So we have, of course, we have a workflow, right? We have suppliers that are in the system. We have a system where you can create an entire space inside your own system. Speaking of security, right? The most secure thing is staying in your environment, right? So we have a system where you can create an entire space for your suppliers, maybe an LSP or a freelancer or whatever, where they can self-service. They can even have their own managers, where you basically just, I don't know, you have a supplier for Chinese, and then you just push that into their environment. They can self-service. It's all automated, right? And they don't see your stuff, but you see their stuff, but they don't see your stuff. And it's very nice supplier management system. But you go into workflows, right? And you see, that we have a little tiny workflow set up, translation, revision, right? Automatically, once this is done, this is the next step. And this, you can auto assign this and everything can be completely lights off, right? But if we go to this little flex thing, you see that we can set things like reopen completed jobs with new content, right? So the translation job is finished. The translator's like, okay, I got my stuff done. New content automatically reopens that job. You can notify the suppliers about this, right? Ooh, dear supplier, there's new content. Please please start translating. You can automatically calculate the cost for that and generate a quote, right? Or later on an invoice, which is part of the business management system. The same, for the client, for your client, but also for your supplier, right? There's an entire supplier management system with different price lists for everybody, with invoice templates, and this. Let's not go in there, but you can basically you set this up, and then they can make changes as much as they like. And you can basically just go like, okay, and now everybody is like, the system will orchestrate the entire process by itself. So let's look at the text here, right, and make a random change. So better life. Let's, I don't know, let's say better life, or here we still have lorem ipsum here, right? The G500 model of the Terminator is, I don't know, let's say, little robot with wings that can fly and shoot. Right. Okay. So we made out, somebody made that change. Think about it, right? This is like you write a magazine, right? And they can start with page number 1, number 2, push the content, translation starts. And once the translation is done, or even before, actually, another typesetter or the same typesetter or another InDesign, doesn't matter, can already pull the source design, including the content, and then gets the translations with it, and can already start creating the target version, right? And then they can start, push content with page number 3, push content with page number 12, push content with page number 20. If sometimes we have clients that do 300-page catalogs. In the past, they had to wait until the 300-page catalog was ready. Now they can, the entire process can start at page number 3, right? And can be truly agile. So I made this little change here, and I just say commit source document. And this is going to take a few seconds. By the way, that was a challenge when we started a couple of years ago. Like, this step would have taken about 25 minutes to do, because internal InDesign scripting is awfully slow, to say the least, right? So that commit finished, right? And we're gonna look at our translation editor. Change search to German English. What did I G500? Let's look for 500. Right. That's that. I just look for German for red status, means error. Now, oh shit, I have to do it again. Sorry, didn't want to swear. So this has now an error state. Why? Because the system detected there was a source change, right? Now we have this text, which you saw me how I typed it in. This override, basically, this changes the original source text and then changes the status of the translation to red. And I showed you the workflow management, which basically means if there's new content, you now kick off, you reopen the job and send out the content for retranslation, right? So I was gonna quickly get myself an MT for that. No, that's global search. Oops. And let's, I don't know, some rando system. That's another thing. We have over 50 MT systems, including, you can have your custom system, whatever. We even have a meta connector that is pretty cool, because that can route specific content type to different MT systems, depending on how you set it up, for different languages or different domains or different, there's plenty of conditions that you can say, like, if this is the case, then you use this system. If this is the case, use this MT system, right? So I'm saving this, and so this is now updated in the database, right? This is no file. This is actually a dynamic database, right? So it's like we just updating a database with the new text. So I go back in here, right? And I say update target document. First of all, I'm going to show you that this G500 still has the lorem ipsum text, right? And update target document, clicky. And it actually takes the same amount of time, no matter how many changes you made, right? And it's like, and when you demo it, you update all the time. So it's a bit annoying that it takes a few seconds, but in a production environment, you don't, right? You might do it like 2-3 times a day. And if we now go down here, we see this text, right? And okay, that's cool. I can push text around, right? That's nice, right? But let's imagine, right? There's a different guy. So, you know, now they boast about that Arnold Schwarzenegger gave his face for the famous Terminator, and they're so proud that they got the guy, right? So the MT system or the translator will, you know, it's like, well, you want another person maybe, right? And so let's say in Germany, we have this guy, which all the Germans will know. It's Helge Schneider who gave his face to the Terminator. Can you imagine that Terminator? Super scary, right? So we changed the picture, right? So we made changes to the picture. We moved it around. We can also maybe move the text around and make it, can we make it, we have different styles. So, no, make this, let's make this bigger. No, this is bad. Let's go back. You know, but I could just like, you know, just for the sake of it, I just gonna, you know, say, oh, I like it better here, right? I want the, in the German version, I want the text to be here and this text to be there, right? And these changes would all be overridden in the traditional workflow, right? So I go back into our editor and I look for Arnold. Let's find Arnold. Here we have Arnold. So in the German version, it's Helge Schneider, right? That's the guy's name, right? I save that. Oops. All right, and we update the target document. And you will see that only the name changes, but the rest stays identical, right? And so you can imagine people can add to the source. They can add pages. So if they were to add a page to the source and you update the target document, it would add the page at the bottom, right? But the changes stay identical, right? See, we just pushed the text. So what we're doing is basically we're unlinking the object, right? So this object is now unlinked from the source. Everything is linked by default, but if we make a change, it's unlinked. If we later on decide that, you know, a specific unlink was, you know, maybe we want to relink it, right? You can basically go in here, you go to active documents, unlinks, right? And you see there's a text frame, right? That's this one. And you click relink, save changes, right? And it's now processing and it's relinking and getting the information back from the source, right? So it's like you can never break the document because you can at any point in time it's like, oh, this change was stupid. Let's relink it to the source where that is the safe bet because that's what everybody agreed upon at some point, right? So let's just do this, right? And see, quickly saw this. Okay, relink finished and it's back where it was, right? I also moved this text, so it's like, right? And okay, cool. Right, so you can have completely independent versions. So now let's add the French version. Okay, I have to go to the B in the source, add target document, and I set up the project to be English, German, French. So let's set up a French project, right? And now, since I have no French text in the project already, so whoops, French save, right? You see that I have no French text in my translation project, right? And here in the workflow, right, you see there's also no one assigned. We see, you know, I can see like, okay, this is machine translated. This is changes that I made. Everything is in green status. I validated everything. But if you go to French, you see it's all red and there's no translation there, right? So, okay, I was here. Let's just have one editor open. Okay, let's just get French. Yeah, save. Right, so it's all empty. We created a French document now, right, which is this one. Yeah. I don't have some fonts. That's cool. So everything is still in English, right? Of course, because it took the source as the source. So, but what I can do quickly here is basically go to French and say machine translate, and let's, I don't know, let's debel the whole thing. Yep. Okay. Let's just quickly run it through machine translation, right? And if I now refresh this page, you will see that we have Système Cyberdine. I can't speak French, so, but, we now have French translations. I can go in here and quickly set everything to green status so that we know green status basically means apply to the InDesign file, right? You don't want every change that you make in your cat editor to immediately be applied. So you use a status to do that, which is, you have neutral status, you have red status, oh, there's something wrong with it, and then you have green, which you say, oh, that's fine, and only that gets pushed, right? Again, there's like customization options, what you can do, but this is the standard thing. So I basically now told the system, well, these are my French translations, that's all cool, and they're all great, right? They're all green. So I go into the document and I created my French version, and I think it wants me update target, and I think it wants me to save. Yes, see, told you. Speichern, Cyberdyne, FR. Bloop, bloop, bloop. So that's saved now, and I update my target. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And you'll see that we're now pulling all the French translations into the system. All right.
Like André, there are 2 minutes left in your presentation.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Adobe scripting. I'm sorry. It's like you're software guy. It's like, it's like there's a limit to how fast you can make things.
Yes, there's a limit to presentation time too.
Of course. So, but you now see, we have all the French text in the InDesign document, right? So it's like, and I can now say 3 next to each other, and we now have a French, a German, and an English design, which can all be completely different. And just for funs and giggles, let's just quickly put in Jean Reno into this one, and we basically have completely and fully independent manuals for a phone for different countries, annual reports, magazines, whatever you can imagine, and everything is fully independent, and the entire workflow and everything, like, I don't know, of course you get everything you get in a CAD tool, TMS, and business management system. It's like, of course, QA and terminology management and translation, TMs, and all the good stuff, right? And because it's software as a service, and we're software as a service from the get-go, we started in 2008 and bet on software as a service. What's also really nice is you can include the client into the workflows, and they don't have to install any software in their computer, but they can basically just log in, do their work, and call it a day. Also, for one last thing, for evidence task, like who was the guy that did this? Since we are working in one system, I basically have the entire evidence on every segment in the system. I can go in and see who made the change, who made what change, at what time, who was the person, right? And that is also a very neat thing, which doesn't work when you're pushing files around, right? Okay. I said 30 minutes are short, but I hope it was still meaningful.